Hi everyone, here's Betty. I'm glad to share my curriculum transformation, which is focusing on a new perspective from my high school's textbook. This project is based on history curriculum from my 11th grade year at Kunming International High School, which is a Chinese branch of an American high school. As such, the teachers, curriculum, and materials, including this world history textbook, are all from the US. I will focus on Chapter 26, World War II, which is 42 pages long but devotes only 3 or 4 pages to China's role, and thus limited coverage is Western-centric, and much of the content is oversimplified. In contrast, the European theater is covered in extensive detail. My goal today is to transform this section by addressing two key areas: the Lugo Bridge incident, marking the start of China's united resistance against Japan, and the US aid to China through the contributions of flying tigers. Let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of the original curriculum. This textbook does a thorough job for detailing key European events, which helps students grasp strategies and main conflicts of World War II in the West. It also includes a strong focus on US involvement in Pacific theater, highlighting American contributions in the fight against Japan. However, the Eastern Front, especially China's contributions, is underrepresented, ignored, and marginalized. For example, the book briefly mentions the beginning of Chinese resistance in 1937, but is portrayed as an unplanned escalation by Japan, rather than a calculated invasion. I propose changing this content to highlight the historical significance of the Lugo Bridge incident, also known as the July 7th incident. On July 7, 1937, the Japanese army used the pretext of missing soldiers to request an investigation in Wenping County. After being refused, they launched an attack, and Chinese soldiers rose up to resist. This incident marked the beginning of China's united front against Japanese aggression. Rather than stating Japan had no plan to declare war on China, this change would provide a more clarity view of Japan's long-planned invasion. These details would offer students a more accurate understanding of China's role in resistance during World War II. Beyond recognizing China's own resistance, it's also essential to understand the collaborative efforts between the US and China during the war. But textbook only mentioned the entry of the United States into the war created a new coalition, the Grand Alliance. To address these gaps, I propose transforming this section by adding information on the Flying Tigers, a U.S. volunteer air unit that supported China in resisting Japan. American volunteer group, the AVG, formed in 1941. They defended China's critical supply route, the Burma Road, and escorted planes over the world's most dangerous Himalaya hump route. The AVG planes, adorned with a shark face emblem, were nicknamed Flying Tigers by Kunming people after their victorious first battle in December 1941. Because Kunming is an inland city, the locals had never seen sharks before at the time. AVG really liked the nickname, and Walt Disney personally designed a cartoon logo for the Flying Tigers. I'd also incorporate a 3-minute video commemorating the 80th anniversary of the Flying Tigers' support for China, featuring 2 of the last surviving members who are able to return to China to honor their legacy and pass on the spirit of Flying Tigers. This would give students a richer understanding of the US-China collaboration during World War II.
My name is Harry Moyer. I was a fighter pilot flying the P-40. We joined the 14th Air Force in February of 1944, and we were stationed in Chengdu, China. Most of my combat was in the Mediterranean theater. At that time, I could have gone home, but I wanted to go to China. We all got a pretty good idea of what the Chinese people were going through at the hands of the Japanese. Very, very terrible. And so I think we felt more and more anger against the Japanese and more sympathy and wanted to help the Chinese.
I am Melvin Dane McMullen. I was born in 1925. I was the nose turret gunner on our B-24 bomber. I was 19 years old. I learned right away to admire and respect the Chinese people. Our post office box was called Kunming, but of course we were out in the countryside, so we could witness people doing their everyday jobs. This is where I started to learn that people are all the same. I've heard many stories of where planes would go down, so if they had to bail out, they could be rescued by a brave villager or farmer. But I've heard this story many times, that they would hide the airmen by day, and by night they'd move them from village to village till they could be picked up by the Americans. The villagers knew if they were caught aiding the Americans, they would be severely, harshly punished by the Japanese. As I say, we admired them, and so they were very brave people that helped us.
I had always a warm feeling for the Chinese people, and they treated us very well. And they all marched out in a parade, apparently, and just thanked those boys. And so that was a heart-to-heart situation from the Chinese people to the American people. It was given from the hearts. One of the last of the Flying Tigers, put myself out to be anything that can help that situation. That is my only hope. That is my primary purpose of being here at this age, is to come to China and spread the story of and the message of the Flying Tigers about America and China. That we have to get together. Now it's up to the new generations to do so.
In addition to gaining a deeper historical understanding, I'd encourage students to think about how they might carry forward the spirit of the Flying Tigers. This could lead to a creative project where students explore the impact of global partnerships on peace, using Flying Tigers as a model. This project would allow students to reflect on how meaningful alliances shape history, connecting their learning to social action and encouraging them to engage with history in a way that feels relevant and impactful. This curriculum transformation also aligns with Dr. Muhammad's framework in Unearthing Joy. For identity, learning about the Flying Tigers helps students appreciate diverse cultural contributions to World War II, which could encourage students to see themselves as part of the global community. Recognizing that shared values and cooperation can cross nation and cultural boundaries. For skills, analyzing primary sources on Flying Tigers helps students develop historical analysis skills, aligning with learning standards. For intellectual, the addition broadens students' understanding of the U.S.-China alliance, connecting historical knowledge to the world context. For criticality, it encourages students to question why some perspectives are prioritized, fostering critical thinking about the bias in history. And last but not least, joy, uplifting the legacy of the Flying Tigers, provides students with an inspiring story of reliance and collaboration, while the creative project allows students to complete their work in the way they like, which could create joy in learning as well. In summary, adding the story of the Flying Tigers and the Chinese resistance enriches the World War II curriculum with a more inclusive, globally balanced perspective. When a history textbook focuses primarily on Western contributions to World War II, it creates a skewed view, leading students to believe the most significant events took place in Europe and were carried out mainly by Western powers. This marginalization of China's role diminishes students' understanding of the World War II as a global conflict, with equally critical events occurring in Asia. The Chinese front was a major part of the Pacific War, involving millions of soldiers and civilians and lasting longer than the war in Europe. China's resistance diverted Japanese resources, significantly impacting outcomes in the Pacific. By recognizing China's contributions, students gain a broader perspective of World War II as a truly collaborative effort across continents. When students learn about the war as a global event, they develop a deeper respect for international cooperation and shared responsibility in standing against aggression. Through the transformation, we are preparing students not only to engage thoughtfully with history, but also to value the power of international collaboration, becoming informed learners and active global citizens. Thank you so much.